three-part series. It's all about becoming the ultimate listing agent, and today we're going to talk about generating more seller leads. So let's do a quick recap. Last week we spent an abundance of time on understanding today's seller, like identifying seller behavior. So Jack and I really don't love just talking about buyer leads or seller leads, but we really like teaching agents how to identify seller behavior and buyer behavior, helping agents identify when someone comes in as a buyer lead, that how to generate seller behavior so you can present more value to, be able to provide more content, be able to provide more value as a real estate professional. So identifying when someone might be demonstrating seller behavior so you can not avoid providing them with that content. So last week we talked about the realities of today's market, home prices increasing, more inventory is going to be on the market, therefore then talking about some of the motivations on how you can stir up seller behavior, and then also we briefly talked about anticipating questions that they have, potential sellers in the sales process. Let's fast forward to next week. Next week we're going to talk about turning leads into listings. So putting together a winning listing presentation. We'll also show you a live demonstration of how to do this. But this week in session 2, we're going to talk about generating more seller leads. So we're going to talk high level. At times we'll get into the weeds, but we'll do more of that next week. We're going to help you identify a few well-known sources of seller leads just to shake up those thoughts in your head. We'll also walk you through 4 secret sources of seller leads and how to stir up that behavior from a potential seller. And also we'll walk you through the 7-day plan of attack that Jack and I have created that we teach real estate professionals. The whole 7-day plan of attack is to turn more leads into contacts. So Jack, if we think about just laying the foundation, we're not, you don't just lay the foundation with a lead and hope that they turn into a transaction within a week or two. It's really building yourself a sustainable business on leads in general.
Yeah, I mean, think about your one thing as a real estate agent, or that domino effect, right? The one domino falls, they all fall. That really comes down to lead generation. So, like Kerm said, it's not about just focusing on buyers or sellers. It's focusing on online consumers. And by doing a great job at being found by today's consumers, you are going to attract sellers, you are going to attract buyers, and that is where the foundation comes in. And that bottom foundation is lead generation and attracting more buyers and sellers into your funnel. Because what happens is that we can go all day long about strategy and implement this and email this and communicate this, but at the end of the day, if you don't have enough leads in your funnel or in your business, it doesn't matter what strategy you have, you're still going to be frustrated. I think one of the biggest frustrations that agents talk about is, well, this person doesn't engage or online leads don't engage. That is code for I'm not generating enough leads. We know that on every lead becomes a contact, and you have to focus on building your foundation in order to get better lead engagement.
Yeah, exactly. And I want everyone to think about, like, our philosophy when I go to a training or conduct a webinar or participate in a webinar is I want to find 1 or 2 things that I can implement in my business today that will help me grow my business over a long term. So I ask you this, and I want you to be truthful. Are you looking for today's webinar, are you looking for a quick fix? Or are you looking to understand concepts and implement some of the strategies that we talk about to lay the foundation to build a sustainable business? Okay, so those agents who are looking to build a sustainable business, this is exactly how we're going to be able to help you, because we're going to help you not just get a lead and convert it, but we're going to help you just build a sustainable business where you're getting enough new leads into your business each and every month. And more importantly, when you get a lead, you know how to help that potential consumer through their timeline. So think about this. When you get a listing lead, all right, these are people that are not going to convert, all right, as a transaction or as a listing immediately. They're just not going to, okay? Why is that? Because there's a lot of gaps that they have to fill before they actually become a transaction, before they decide when they, when they want that for sale sign in the yard. So last week we talked about, people, how to generate more seller leads is really being able to provide them with an opportunity to get the value of their home from you, okay? 99% of all homeowners always want to know, what's the value of my home? How does it compare to other homes in the neighborhood? How does it compare to homes on the market? What should I anticipate the value of my home to be at today, all right, or 3 months from now, 6 months from now, or a year from now? Do I have enough equity in my home? When should I anticipate having enough equity in my home? At what point will my home, all right, where I'll need more space in my particular home, or at what point will I need to downsize my home because it just doesn't make sense to have all of that space? Those are all of the things that they're going through, along with, you know, job transfers, job promotions. They want to get closer to school. They want to get into a different school district. They want to get closer to, you know, their location of work or family or friends. These are all things that they are contemplating as they are curious about the value of their home and when does it make sense for them to put their home on the market. So understand this. If you want to be a good generator of listing leads, understand that the number one reason why consumers go online as a potential seller is to find the value of their home. Now, they might go online to find the value of their home via looking at other listings that they think are similar to theirs. This is the entire process that they're going through. We call this the three-phase process. Phase one is the pre-research stage. Phase two, maybe the active research. So now they're exchanging emails, they're exchanging communications, or making their communications more verbal with real estate professionals, or they're talking amongst their family, their friends, and their sphere of influence about the market, real estate conditions, inventory trends. Oh, Nancy down the street just sold their home. They put it on the market for $410. They actually got $417 out of it because of a multiple offers. Those are some of the conversations that are happening in phase two. In phase three, now they're returning emails or having verbal conversations with real estate professionals about, hey, when do we think the market's going to pick up where I can get an extra $5,000 or $6,000 in equity in my particular home? So this is a full process. So understand this. If you want to build a sustainable business, you consistently add leads into your pipeline each and every month. You don't just focus on buyer leads. You don't just focus on listing leads. You focus on leads, and then with your Q&A, with your question, with your process, with your 7-day plan of attack, you will be able to have some insight where some of those potential buyer leads, right, will have a home that they want to put on the market as well. Okay? Does that make sense, everybody? So just understand this. You are not going to generate a lead in phase three. You will not generate a lead in phase three. And that's why it doesn't matter if a listing lead or a buyer lead has a phone number. There is no reason why you need to be able to pick up the phone, all right, or why you need to force consumers or leads to provide you with a phone number. Okay? All you want them to do is provide you with an email address so you can provide them with the content that they need in phase one, and that content has to be from your website. Okay? Does that make sense a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, this is absolutely right. If you understand the top two demographics, and you'll get the idea of these top two demographics that are actually selling homes today, two different needs, right? And so relevant content versus value proposition is very different for both these demographics. And I think we talked about this last week, but the top demographic is baby boomers. You think about the baby boomers, right? Confidence down. Right now, confidence down because they're unsure of the value of their home, hit hard by the recession. Also looking to downsize, though. So think about their needs or what relevant content is to that consumer base versus the other demographic that is your top demographic selling, which is Generation X. They're looking to upgrade. They're looking to expand, right? Growing a family. So now they want a bigger house, bigger property. And so think about what they start to value is neighborhood amenities, schools. Right? Now, still unsure about the value because they probably bought at the peak of the market, so that's why we'll start seeing more inventory come onto the market as 2014 and as we go into 2015 because now you have values rising and now these two top demographics are actually going to be putting homes on the market more often.
You know, Jack, I put 1, 2 up there and then 3. A lot of times agents who want to be a lead generator or they want to focus on generating listing leads, all they do is go out there and try to shake as many hands as possible and offer their value proposition. Hey, when you are ready to sell, come to me because I'm the #1 agent in the area, or I'll get top dollar for your home and I'll showcase your home all over the place. That approach is going to generate very, very, very few leads, okay? Rather, as opposed to, what if you just throw relevant content to all of your entire sphere of influence? What if all of your family, your friends, your sphere of influence, and everyone you come in touch with, you just get them relevant content. You just get them market reports. You just get them up-to-date inventory trends in their neighborhood. Therefore, then you're casting a wider net. You're reaching out to more people, but more importantly, you're demonstrating that you're the expert of real estate in their area. You're demonstrating your expertise by aligning, okay, the information that you provide them with what's going through their mind. It really is, Jack, all about casting a wider net by providing them content that's relevant.
Yeah, sometimes we tend to tell value proposition instead of showcasing it. The bottom line is the more relevant content you can provide, and it doesn't matter if these are leads that you're generating, that you're paying for, or that you're generating on social media, or if even if it's sphere of influence or referrals. The more relevant content you can provide to a consumer base, it absolutely showcases value proposition. So you do less telling and more showcasing, and that's how you become the agent of choice.
And Jack, when you are able to provide them with relevant content, that's the information that they're looking for online anyway. So you're just intercepting them, all right, and eliminating them from going elsewhere online to get that particular information. You always say relevant content is used to influence a consumer through their timeline.
Yeah, it is made to influence a consumer down the timeline. Again, your main goal is to make sure they're not getting content without you, because that's where they meet other real estate agents, right? And so you use relevant content to stop their search, but also as a consumer, an agent can't accelerate someone's timeline, right? If they're in phase 1, you can't make them in phase 3 and they're ready to list their home. However, based on the content you're providing and continue to provide that consumer, what happens is you influence them. They can, based on your content, make that decision a lot quicker if you're providing the right relevant content.
All right, and then some additional tips to become a good lead generator, Jack, is you got to be committed. All right, you actually have to commit 1 to 2 hours a day, all right, in order to become a good lead generator. You can't just pick and choose what time of day or what day of the week that you, or what part of the month that you want to become a lead generator. It's got to be very consistent. So you have to buy in that you want to generate more leads. The other thing you got to think about too is, do I want to spend time generating leads? Do I want to allocate an hour, 90 minutes, 2 hours, 5 days a week, 20 days a month to generate leads? Or do you want to pay for leads? Okay? Would you rather save that time by going out and spending $200, $300, $400 a month having a company generate potential listing leads for you, which means it's they're advertising you where shoppers are shopping. They're putting you on search engines. They're putting you on a Google. They're putting you on a Bing. They're putting you on a Yahoo to generate leads on your behalf so you don't have to spend the time doing it. You have to do one of those two things. If you want to make it in real estate, if you want to make it as a small business owner, this phrase is, how do you put butts in seats, Jack? But how do you put people into your store? How do you get more new people in your pipeline consistently each and every month? Because the bottom line is there's only 2 reasons why agents fall short of meeting their transaction goal. One is they just don't have enough new people coming into their pipeline consistently each and every month that aligns with their transaction goal. And then the other reason is the people that they do have, the leads that they do have, they're forcing them to go somewhere else because all they're doing is showcasing, all right, or talking or telling about their value proposition and not providing them with content that's relevant. So it's forcing all of their leads to go somewhere else to get that content that makes sense with whatever phase that they're in, which is a phase 1 or a phase 2 or a phase 3. So you have to decide, do I want to spend time or do I want to spend money on leads? You have to do one or the other. You can't sit on your hands waiting for people to come to you. It's not going to happen. Right? The next thing is you got to be patient and you got to be open-minded. Remember, you're building a foundation for sustainable business. You want to know why you have peaks and valleys in your business? Because you have peaks and valleys in your lead generation business. Okay? So you have to be patient, you have to be open-minded, you have to understand that when you do generate a lead, when you do get a lead from a specific company, they're not in phase 3. So Jack, you have put here the quality of an online lead is determined by the quality of the response, and that's one of the reasons why we're going to go over the 7-day plan of attack.
Yeah, I think this is a perfect statement because you can't make a consumer better or worse. Think about you when you walk onto a car lot, and the salesman walks up to you. What do you say? Oh, I'm just looking. You don't walk onto a car lot and say, I'm here to buy a car today. That's what I want to do. I'm here to buy a car. Show me all the cars. I'm going to buy one today. You always say the programmed response is, I'm just looking. You make the quality of the lead based on the quality of your response. Are you providing relevant content? Are you being a service professional? Or are you just focused on making a sale? And if they're not in phase 3, then I forget about them. That's not a good lead. That's a bad lead. So really, you have to think about how you want to communicate with these consumers and how well do you want to influence them and be a part of that timeline. Because you really do have two choices. You can be a part of the timeline and be a part of their process, or you can be irrelevant because they absolutely don't need an agent to gather content. At some point, they're going to need an agent. But guess what? 70% of consumers choose their agent based on the first person to provide relevant content. So by the time they are in phase 3, chances are 70% of the time they've already got their agent. And so you would be irrelevant at that point.
And Jack, there's a lot of different ways that you can actually generate leads or stir up seller or buyer behavior. You can focus on FSBOs. You can focus on expired listings. You can focus on putting ads on Facebook. You can focus on blogging, all right, and generating more SEO, value or juice to your website. You can focus on generating leads directly to your website. You can pay Google. You can pay a marketleader.com or a market leader. You can pay a Zillow. You can pay a Trulia. You can do whatever. There's a ton of, you can do Craigslist or Backpage or eBay Classifieds. There's a ton of different things that you can do. But what you need to really focus on is 1 or 2, maybe 3 sources to be an expert on, okay? Understand, right, not every source is going to work in every market, okay? So that's why you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. But the bottom line is you do have to generate leads. Excuse me, let me rephrase that. You do have to have leads coming into your pipeline consistently each and every month. So you got to decide, Kerm, Jack, I'm going to spend time generating leads. Then you got to make sure you have the right tools. Okay, you can't build a fence without a hammer, right? Okay, or Kerm, Jack, I'm going to spend money getting leads into my pipeline.
And here's the Jack tip of the week. It can't be all time and it can't be all money. Okay, so you can't say, well, I need 40 listing leads a month or I need 50 listing leads a month. Okay, chances are if you go out and just spend all your money on listing leads, what's going to happen is you're going to put so much pressure on yourself to convert that lead to generate a return on investment that you're going to have the wrong approach. And so this is why we speak so much about diversifying. Yes, paying for leads is absolutely a supplement into your business that you have to have, but also working your sphere of influence, working your referrals, working like the social media avenue, FSBOs, like Craigslist, working those other avenues to supplement all of that is actually going to build a better pipeline than putting all your eggs in one basket. So, I think what you have to decide is how much time am I going to spend and how much money am I going to spend and where does that mix fit best within my business. Every agent kind of is different, so that's something that you have to go out. Hopefully you've done that in your business plan. You've identified some key resources and some key partnerships that you're going to make a part of your business in 2014.
And so we covered this a little bit last week, but just to focus on Generation X and baby boomers, Gen X, these are people that have probably owned their home now 5, 6, 7, 8 years. They might be getting that 6, 7 year itch that we're going to talk about mostly, but what are some of the pains that they're feeling right now? What's the gap that they're feeling? These are people that might have became leads from you 2 years ago and you thought they were crappy because they didn't have enough equity in their home to actually put their home on the market. Those are people that you should have stayed in touch with, not verbally, okay, but by utilizing your website to keep them up to date with content. So when they do have enough equity, when it actually does make sense, when they can connect all the dots, all right, then they will reach out to you or you will reach out to them at the right time. Think about baby boomers as well. People that were hit hard by the recession, 3, 5, 7 years ago, they lost a ton of equity in their home. So they went online 3 years ago to find the value of their home, and they never returned your emails or your phone calls because they were underwater. You thought it was a crappy lead. No, it just didn't make sense for them to put their home on the market at that particular time. So ask this, did you waste that lead? Did you waste that relationship? Did you end that relationship? Or did you continue to develop a relationship? Are you in this business just for the transaction, or are you in this business to create a relationship, develop a relationship, and maintain the relationship. All right? If it's the latter, then you don't care if they have enough equity in their home right then. Okay? When you're focusing on the negative, when you're focusing on, well, but they just wanted to refinance, then that's an easy identifier for you that you don't have enough new people in your pipeline.
I think Tim Tim chatted in this is a great observation. They either do not respond or, or they die on the vine. Maybe they go off somewhere else. So I was not successful in determining their stage. And Tim, you're not alone. Like, this is the biggest frustration, and it's not easy. Like, our job's not easy as real estate agents to determine all of these consumers. Where are they fitting on the timeline? What demographic are they in? How do I communicate? Look, it's not just cut and dry. What you have to remember, though, and if you've ever attended any of our seminars that Kerm and I do, we talk a lot about 212 degrees, going that extra degree. And I think the biggest one that we can do in our business is 212 degrees of service. What have you set up in your business for consumers to gather content from you? Are you seen as just a real estate agent that will help them buy or sell their home, or are you a neighborhood expert? And that's what you have to ask yourself. And so as you look at your business, what are some of the key partnerships, and have you established a true value proposition for your consumers? Because that's going to help you actually move consumers through that timeline in determining stages. I think that's the biggest thing. And so I know we've got a lot of chat questions like, what is relevant content? Help us define relevant content. Well, I was talking about this earlier, and it really depends on each consumer, right? Each consumer will tell you or show you, or based on their behavior, tell you what relevant content is. For example, monthly market reports. Knowing which report is more relevant to what demographic. If we specifically talk Generation X for a minute, think about that demographic. Think about their needs, their wants, their motivations, fears, okay? They are looking to upgrade. They're at a point of their life where they're already a first-time home buyer. Now that home is the home they want to put on the market. They want to upgrade to a bigger home. So what reports are they probably going to start looking for? They're probably going to start looking at market analysis reports, maybe some zip code or neighborhood comparable reports, school reports, because they're probably building a family. That's why they want to upgrade. So understand exactly what relevant content is for each demographic or each consumer.
All right, Jack, I want to give you an example of this. So my real estate agent, all right, who helped me purchase a home a little bit over 3 years ago, every month, all right, I get a market update, exactly what Jack was talking about, okay? So there's three things that you can do. There's three things that you can leverage your website, all right, to be able to provide your past clients or your future your future clients with up-to-date real estate information. So I just want to show you this. So my agent, all right, once a month sends me an email, and this is automated, so he doesn't actually have to do it, that provides me with how local market conditions are changing in my specific area. So each month he provides me with what we call Market Insider, which provides valuable, up-to-date information about the communities that are important to me. Okay? So it provides me with the zip code, all right, of my area and the trends of pricing along with some tips. All right, I can have a whole library of tips here as well. And then when I choose and I click on that Market Insider tab, it's taking me directly to my agent's website. Okay, so take a look at this information. I'll show it to you as Jack is going to walk you through it. But this provides me with exactly the information that I'm going to need to stay in touch with to decide, all right, is it the right time? Do I have enough equity? Does it make sense? What else is going on in the market? So if you do this, people do get that 5-year, 6-year, 7-year itch. I'm staying in touch with the trends of the community or of my community in regard to real estate. This is automated. Now I want you to put your consumer hat on for a second. I want you to be me. I want you to put your consumer hat on. Okay? If I'm getting this information every month and it's driving me to Kevin's website, when I need to get a question answered, when I am further in phase 3, who am I going to reach out to? This is the interactive portion. Put your consumer hat on and chat in. Okay, who am I going to reach out to? Am I going to go back online to try to find information somewhere else? Or am I going to reach out to Kevin? on this. So Jack, this is all of the community information and market analysis information that someone's going to want as they're in phase 1 or they're in phase 2. Guess what? When I bought the home, I moved right back into phase 1. I moved from phase 3 back into phase 1. At some point, I might become a phase 3 lead again. 5 years down the road, 6 years down the road, 7 years down the road. Also, I come in touch with people that are at some point in phase 1, phase 2 as well. Right? Who am I going to refer my potential sphere of influence and family and friends to? Probably Kevin, because Kevin keeps me in touch with this information. And it's as easy as, actually let me go back here. Kevin puts me on a specific campaign, all right, that allows me to stay in touch with these trends.
Yeah, so we as agents most likely don't do a very good job at touching our past clients or keeping up to date. We do maybe like little postcards or reminders, but is that really relevant content? Is that really going to make Kerm call Kevin? Really? I mean, because Kevin remembered Kerm's birthday, is that really going to keep Kerm coming back? Kerm's going to want relevant content constantly, because what happens, and we know this is a fact, every 5 to 7 years consumers are looking. Right? They're looking. And so you always have to keep this in front of people, because 5, 7 years, Kerm is getting ready to go back into phase 1 and start gathering that content again. How do you make sure that when he gathers content, he's doing it from Kevin's site, right? You don't want any of your past clients to go on Zillow, because that's where they meet someone, right? So if you look on Kevin's site, he has a specific tab just for his sellers. So they can actually go to his site, give their information, and get the value of their property. Kevin is then notified and can go into action. That's a huge value proposition, because what's the biggest frustration for today's sellers? It's hard to find the information they want. It's not very accessible out there. Pretend you're a seller and go try to find that out. Sure, you could go onto Zillow, but you're not going to find accurate information. Right? This is hard to get information. Kevin has just done a good job at making it very accessible on his website.
The other thing that Kevin does to stay in touch with sphere of influence, family, and friends, everyone that's in his pipeline, every 6 months he sends an email out, hey, home prices have increased by 4% in your area. All right? Visit my website, utilize this link to get the up-to-date value of your home. So it provides Kevin a reason to reach out, not about, hey, it's all about me, but by being able to provide his expertise and walk them through the value in an estimate type of way, the value of their home. It gives Kevin a reason to reach out. It also opens up a few windows of opportunity for the consumer to reach out to him. If they're deep in phase 3, then those people are going to raise their hand a little bit more. If they're in phase 1, phase 2, they might just want the value of their home. But these are some of the things that he's done in place to generate more listing leads by utilizing the right tools. Okay? This isn't about going and door knocking everywhere or telling everybody and handing out business cards. This is about utilizing the tool set that you need to be successful in 2014. And it really does come down to your website. The other thing, Jack, it's all about your community pages as well. Talk a little bit about how to utilize community pages to generate seller behavior as well.
Well, these community pages is you can really narrow down or really niche down into a community. So if you think about like a buyer or seller, just the different demographics, they're most likely interested in certain neighborhoods. So now I can drill down, right? I can narrow down those certain neighborhoods and get really relevant content regarding, so let's just pick Bridal Trails for instance. Go into Bridal Trails, which is a community. It's a neighborhood inside Bellevue. But if you can go down here, you can get market trends just for that particular neighborhood. That's huge. You think about today's seller and what they're interested in is, this is why 80% of today's sellers start with buyer behavior, because they want to know what other homes are on the market in my neighborhood and what are they going for. Well, on Kevin's site, not only can they look for listings, pictures and details of actually other homes, but now they can get market trends for that particular neighborhood all on Kevin's site. They don't have to go to a million different places. Kevin's not forcing them to go and find this information and then hopes they just call him back. right? So he's doing this with sphere of influence, he's doing this with past clients, referrals, but he's also doing it with new leads too, right? And so he has every aspect of his business set up. He's generating new listing leads, he's working his sphere of influence, past clients, and referrals, and therefore his business is always revolving.
Jack, can you walk us through the importance of being able to put this information on your website versus just sending it in an email form? You know, like the whole probably analogy with a coffee cup. Like this is providing a reason for consumers to visit Kevin's website every day and every week.
Yeah. So no one's going to argue with me that we know consumers want this, right? Would anyone argue with that? Would anyone argue that buyers or sellers, no matter who we're talking to, consumers today want this content, this is what they're looking for? I think we can all agree that this is part of the content they're gathering online. So you have to ask yourself, you know they're going to get it, you know they want it, you know they're going to find it. Do you want them to get it with you or with someone else? And the analogy I use is because we're all small business owners, and so we have to think like small business owners. But imagine you're not in real estate. Imagine you own a coffee store. And someone comes up to your coffee store and they want a vanilla latte, and you said, did you bring your cup? And they say no. And then you tell them, well, then go to that other coffee store, get a cup, and come back, and I'll give you a vanilla latte in your cup. How many return visitors are you going to get? Very, very, very few, right? Who would do that? And that sounds funny, and some of you are probably laughing, but in essence, that's what we do every day when we don't have this content on our website. When we force someone, when we send an email or we have a link that drives someone away from our page, or we force someone to go gather content without us, and then we ask them to come back, why would someone do that? It doesn't make sense. And we laugh, but the truth is that that's what we do. We force them to gather content without us in hopes that they'll call us back. And then we say, well, today's consumer's just not loyal. Well, we gave them no reason to be loyal.
Jack, the other thing that's nice too that Kevin has is everyone and anyone that visits Kevin's website, he has this system that tracks and monitors that behavior. So for example, not only did he generate 16 new leads in the last 30 days, but check out who has been on his website. Salmon is on the website right now. Alton was on the website about an hour ago. Jim Carroll was on the website a couple of hours ago. Okay, this is all keeping track of all that traffic. So think about this. Twice a year, he sends, all right, everyone in his pipeline the opportunity to get an updated value of his home, of their home. Also think about this. Once a month, his sphere of influence, his family, his friends, all of his leads get that monthly market insider report that I talked about earlier. So Kevin knows when I'm on his website. So Kevin knows when to put his friend hat on to communicate with me, or Kevin knows when to put his real estate hat on to communicate with me based on me being on his website or not.
Now, most of you would get a lead like this and say, well, this is a fake lead. This is a bogus lead. It's not real. But the truth is, this is a real email address, and this consumer is real because they viewed 4 houses on Kevin's website. Okay? They are just in early phase 1, and they don't feel like communicating with an agent, which is why 90% of consumers go online in the first place. They're avoiding one-on-one communication, and we call that a bad lead. But Kevin knows it's okay. I will allow them to come back to my website. I will continue to provide relevant content to drive them back to my website to stop their search. Okay? The more times he does that, what happens is these consumers will end up asking questions. They'll end up updating their phone number. They'll end up updating their name. You know how many times that agents today will close a lead that originally started as Mickey Mouse? And it's not because they have this magic button that they push that enabled them to get real name and real phone numbers. The fact is they have the right technology in their business that allowed them to influence that consumer down the timeline until that consumer was ready in phase 2 or phase 3 to actually engage with that agent.
Yeah, thing too is, like, so for example, a lot of times agents tell us, I just don't know what to send. The relevant content are your monthly market reports, your home valuation requests, so you've got to drive all sellers to your website, and then setting up your community pages. And so then one of your well-known sources of seller leads obviously is your past clients, but don't assume that your past clients are just going to pick up the phone and call you. So you got to nurture. I just walked you through an example of this. You got to nurture your past clients as if they were prospects. So remember, after I bought, I became a phase 1 consumer again, right? I became a phase 1 lead. So nurture me as if I'm a phase 1 lead. Okay? How do you nurture your past clients? You just send them reminders on their birthday. As Jack had mentioned, that's not going to get you a second transaction or a second sale with them. Treat them as if they're phase one. Provide them with market conditions, local conditions. Twice a year, offer them the value of their home. Okay, remember, the importance of past clients as a source of seller leads shows the importance of having that contact management system we just showed you with Kevin. Because you didn't get in this business to follow up with your past clients over and over and over. That's why you have to leverage having the contact management system that Kevin does, all right, that automates all of this, that keeps you in touch with them by providing them with content. Does this make sense? Okay? Does this make sense, ladies, fellas? Okay? So think about this. Do you want to change something in your business to make it easier? Okay? Because you can generate, I'm going to use this term, a crap ton of leads by leveraging the right tools that make sense in your business in 2014. Okay? In order to generate more referrals, you got to stay in touch with more people. In order to stay in touch with more people, you can't get more time in your day. You got to automate things in your business. Okay? You got to treat everyone as if it's phase one. Jack, if you want more referrals in your business, you got to add more new people in your pipeline this month, next month, the month after, the month after. Your referral business today is really dependent on how many new people that you met 5 years ago.
It's the only way you can market-proof your business, and we've talked about this before, but how do you eliminate the peaks and valleys in your business is you have to identify what your one thing is as an agent, and that should be lead generation. The more new leads you're continually adding into your business each and every month, what happens is you are increasing your sphere of influence. Now, we know the best lead in this industry is what? Referral. Sphere of influence, right? Those are the best leads. They convert the highest. So how do we get more of them? You can't just wake up one day and say, you know what, 2014, I'm going to have more referrals. You've got to put in the time to build your business. And this is a numbers game. The more leads you generate today, the more contacts you generate, the more active consumers, the more motivated consumers, and at the end of the day, it is increasing your sphere of influence, and therefore you market-proof your business. You eliminate some of the peaks and valleys that most agents see. Even if the market drops again, you've built a sustainable business that you can feed on with those referrals and past clients. Okay? There's also door knocking. I think door knocking, I think a lot of people say door knocking's dead. It's not dead. It's just you have to have a different approach. Okay? It's not dead. It's just probably a little harder work than it is to go generate. We know 9 out of 10 consumers start their search online. So if you want to go door knock and you want to make that part of your business, understand that you're only probably touching 1 to 2% of consumers, because most of those consumers, instead of talking to you at their door, would rather go online.
So one thing, if you were going to door knock, Jack, is you got to be able to provide them with some content. So it's not shaking their hands, hey, I'm an agent, if you need anything, let me know, because that's not going to work. But maybe it's print off those market conditions. That market report that Kevin sends me every month, how about print that off, door knock, drop it off with a business card on there. Hey, to see more information like this, visit my website once a month. That type of mentality.
Yeah, I mean, I would do a market report. I would do, like if we go down, those just sold postcards. If I ended up selling a house in that neighborhood, I'd be handing some of those out. But it wouldn't be, hey, let me come in your house and do a listing presentation. It would be more introducing myself, adding relevant content to them. But also at the same time, that relevant content is meant for them to go to my website, right? The more people I get in my store, what happens is I'm more successful in building my business. Okay, so expired listings and FSBOs, have a lot of clients seeing a lot of success with this. These lists or these expired listings and FSBOs, these are a good resource of generating leads. I know, like, if you go to Craigslist right now and go to the FSBO section on Craigslist, there's some low-hanging fruit there. But what most agents don't realize is they will call out on expired listings and FSBOs and try to get in and do a listing presentation. Well, here's why you want to choose me this time instead of the other agents. What you need to realize is take a step back and say, how can I help them reach their end result? That's what it's really about, right? Their end result is to sell their home and probably get into something different. How can you help them or influence them in order to make the right decision? So use some of that relevant content, like expired listings. We know how to get our hands on expired listings. These are homeowners. These are gold. Some of this low-hanging fruit there. We know these homeowners have actually raised their hand in the past and been interested in putting their home on the market. Now, how can you take it to another level and provide enough content to help them reach that decision, right? And you have to understand that the more people you help doesn't mean necessarily, you have to understand people are going to get content with you that never talk to you, and that's okay. That's part of that service, right? And we know that they have the 7-year itch, the 5 to 7 year itch that most consumers have when they get into a house. 5 to 7 years later, they're looking for something else, whether that is the downsize or whether that is the upsize, right? It depends on what demographic they fall in, and you have to be aware of that.
So Jack, we teach a lot of this. So this is high level. These are all the sources. But also Jack and I teach this in the $1 Million Pipeline program. So we actually teach you the how to do this. We actually show you what emails to send, what campaigns to do, the type of content to put in an email, the call to action, the links to utilize in your emails to drive people to your website. So to target the 7-year itch, obviously we talked about the average homeowner, wants or thinks about selling their home after about 5 to 7 years. So it's be able to provide them with content that makes sense, all right? Or when you have potential for rent single-family homes out there that are for rent, maybe if there's enough value in their home, it would make sense for them to put their home on the market. So targeting some of that, but also targeting for sale by owners, okay? Establish yourself as a neighborhood expert that Jack had mentioned by helping them understand how their home stacks up to other homes in the neighborhood. Also, Jack, we know 43% of all buyers are sellers as well. That's why when we started today's webinar, we talked about, we're not going to necessarily talk about just a seller lead and a buyer lead, all right, but we're talking about seller behavior, all right? So when you have a person who comes in looking at homes on your website, it's asking certain questions, being able to offer offer the opportunity for them to utilize your website to get the value of their home, driving them to your sell tab, communicating that. Often the people who are coming in on your website looking for homes also are interested in finding out how much equity they have in their current home. Are you currently a homeowner, all right, or attempting to become a first-time buyer? All right, so start engaging your buyer leads early, and then for those people who have own a home, you can offer to be able to stay in touch with you to be able to provide them with the value of their home as well. Now, Jack, I briefly put this slide in here just to talk about you can generate leads off of Facebook as well for very few dollars.
Yeah, and this is something that we specifically taught in $1 Million Pipeline, and huge success. The $1 Million Pipeline Facebook page, all the members started posting success stories. One guy generated 35 seller leads. Now, here's what I'll say. In order to do Facebook, you have to have a great website. And that means you've got to have a website that will capture leads. You've got to have a website that has content for buyers and sellers to do this. Here's an example of an ad that I did just playing around. I spent $10 total. You can see right here I reached 24,000 consumers. I had 11 clicks, and this generated 3 leads. 3 seller leads for $10. Again, it wasn't because my ad was so genius that everyone was attracted to it. It's because my ad piqued interest. I spoke to certain demographics or sellers, and I got them to a website that provided content and captured them as a lead. So if your website doesn't capture leads, okay, if your website doesn't have a lead capture, it forces them to register in order to get content, then this is not an option for you. You shouldn't be touching this. Right? Now, if your website offers relevant content and allows people to opt in and become a lead, then that's a value proposition lead capture tool. Facebook's a great way to generate seller leads.
It's fun, too. This is what we teach you in the $1 Million Pipeline program. All right? So you have the right tool set, all right, and we'll teach you how to generate leads. We'll actually show you how to do everything. Now the question is, Jack, once I have a lead, now what? We've run out of time, so we're going to quickly go through this, and then in next week's webinar, we'll show you exactly how to implement your 7-day plan of attack. But, Jack, when we talk about that 7-day plan of attack, all right, we're not focusing right here. We're focusing on moving leads, all right, and getting more leads to become contacts, and ultimately being able to identify behavior triggers to move more contacts into active consumers. So let me tell you a little bit about how to do this. To be able to move contacts into active consumers, the only way to do that, all right, to create more motivated consumers with your contacts, is reaching out at the right time, all right, anticipate some of their thoughts that are going through their mind and being able to provide them with that content. Okay? You have to be able to reach out at the right time to move contacts into the motivated consumer bucket. All right? Now, to move leads into contacts, you have to implement the 7-day plan of attack to activate leads to get them back to your website. And when you get them back to your website, what have you done? You've eliminated them from going anywhere else. So understand this. The leads to contacts is the 7-day plan of attack. Your entire goal is just to activate them, just to get them to your website. All right? And then to move contacts into active consumers, it's as simple as identifying behavior triggers that are occurring on your website so you reach out at the right time. Okay? So Jack, let's just briefly talk about the 7-day plan of attack and what its goal is, all right, and what that right approach is and what the, as I pushed the wrong button, and what the incorrect approach is. I have some technical difficulties. There we go.
So there's 4 things you have to have. And number 1, your overall goal when you generate a lead, whether it's a buyer or seller, is to stop their search, right? Eliminate them going anywhere else without you. The average consumer goes to 7 to 8 different websites before talking to an agent. How do you stop their search and make sure that they're getting content from you? You have to have these 4 things in your business. Number 1 is speed. You have to be the first to respond. And that means you have to be notified immediately when your site generates a lead. That's first and foremost. And then you have to have the right approach when you reach out, whether it is a phone call or whether it is an email or a text message. You have to be first to respond to stop their search. Next, you have to have some type of insight into what their behavior is, because it is the only way for you to identify what relevant content is for that consumer. Right? Now, I think I'll use the analogy. Think about the grocery store. Think about the club card. Right? Think about the club card that you all have for your grocery store. You walk in. It wasn't that you walked into their store. That's good. They like that. But they go a step further. They want to know what you're buying or looking at in their store, and that's why they have a club card, so it tracks your purchases. So now they know every time you're down aisle 2 or how much Gatorade you buy, right? So now they can market to you. It's the same thing as a real estate agent. I have to have insight when they're on my website. I have to know what they're looking at in their behavior. So when I reach out, when I am first to respond, guess what? I can provide relevant content to speed up the engagement process to put me into that conversation that I need in order to be successful. And at the same time I'm doing that, because I do a great job at those first 3 things, what's it do for my brand? It sets me apart as a neighborhood expert. That's that brand that we have to have in our business. That branding never goes away in real estate. It's just a different way to look at it.
All right, so this 7-day plan of attack, day 1, day 3, day 5, day 7, everyone will get. We'll give you the phone number to call to get these scripts and emails as well. We'll talk more about this next week. We're going to just briefly talk about it. What it looks like is a very prescriptive plan of attack. So when you get a new lead, this tells you exactly what to do and what not to do on day 1, on day 3, on day 5, on day 7. It's a no-brainer, all right? It's almost like paint by numbers. It tells you exactly what to do. And remember, your entire goal when you get a new lead is not to convert it. It's not to qualify it. It's not to disqualify it. It's to get them back to your website. Okay? Believe me. All right, they want to disqualify you just as much as you want to disqualify them. Our goal and why we got into the business is to help every person who visits our website. So we'll show this all to you next week. All right. We'll also, for everyone on today's call, you're getting the email templates like this. So how to respond first. Okay. A seller lead or a lead that came into you with seller behavior, let's say 2 months ago or 6 months ago. All right, you can utilize an email somewhat like this. Hey, a while back you were curious about the value of your Mission Viejo home. Mission Viejo properties have increased $50,000 to $100,000 in the last few months alone. Right now there are very few homes on the market similar to yours. As rising prices and a shortage of inventory in Mission Viejo, okay, you're currently in an advantageous position if your goal is to sell in the next couple of months. Would it be useful for you to receive a more accurate opinion of your home's value today? Thanks again for asking about what your home is worth, and you can provide, links and photos back to your website. Okay? That's a great email to use. All right? Here's another type of email. You requested the current market value of your home a couple of months ago. I just wanted to send you this link to the homes on your market today that are similar to yours. Homes in Mission Viejo have gone up 6% in the past few months alone. If you're considering selling during the holidays, you might want to give this some thought. Or you can change that, if you consider selling during, the springtime or early summer, you might want to give this some thought. And again, thanks for checking on your home's value. Okay, does that make sense? And then also we have different email templates that everyone will get that you can utilize in Touch 3 or Touch 4 or Touch 5. Okay? All right, we've got like 3 minutes, a little bit of some Q&A, Ask Jack and Kerm, and then we're also going to provide the phone number, okay, in case you already want it. Actually, Jack, go through what $1 Million Pipeline Program is quickly. All right, then we'll provide the phone number because everyone on today's call, they're going to get email scripts, okay? They're going to get the 7-day plan of attack. They're also going to get the frequently asked questions PDF that we've put together, and they have the opportunity to double their leads over the next couple of months.
So the $1 Million Pipeline Program is something we developed about a year ago, and they're live workshops every Monday morning. And the whole purpose of these classes or these workshops is to increase your monthly transaction goal or increase your overall gross commission income. That's why we developed the program. Like I said, every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific time, we have live workshops, as well as we have content housed on $1MillionPipeline.com. So every single session that we've done, every single class notes in the notebook is all the content from that program is on its own website with you, and when you're a member, you get your own login. We actually break down the $1 Million Pipeline into three different levels. Number one is lead generation. Look, we know how important it is to generate leads. Everybody wants to generate leads. Some people just don't know how to generate leads. So our job is to teach you on all the different sources out there, on all the different avenues where consumers are gathering content. How can you generate enough leads in your own business to hit your transaction goal? And then the lead engagement portion is specifically designed that once you start generating enough leads, how do you turn more leads into contacts? How do you communicate? What are some of the things that you say? How do you move people through the funnel? And the last portion is really the CEO series. And this was, we know there's certain things they didn't teach you in real estate school. They didn't teach you you're going to be a small business owner. Our job is to get you to that point. How can you effectively write a business plan, execute a business plan? How do you be more productive? How do you be more efficient? And then talking about the trends that are coming up in the second part of 2014 as well as 2015 so you can plan your business accordingly. Again, we have the exclusive Facebook page that all of our members get access to, and this is sharing best practices. This is a lot of content that I put on there, and a lot of members, just a community of best practices and agents really out for one goal, and that is to be better in real estate in 2014, as well as the $1MillionPipeline.com.
So Jack, to our audience today, if they've liked anything that we've talked about, if they like some of the concepts, if they want our help to build a sustainable business, they can call the phone number and join the $1 Million Pipeline Program. This is what we do. The only difference, Jack, is we really get into the weeds then. Okay, so we walk people through how to actually generate more leads off of different things. The other day we did print. You did a ton off of SEO blogging on Monday that was extremely popular. So, we get into the weeds and teach people how to do these things utilizing the right tools. All right, so for everyone on today's call, when you attend the call, you get the recording. So shortly in the next couple hours, you'll get an email with today's recording. If you missed out on last week's class, all right, call in and ask the group, the person who picks up the phone, they'll give you that recording from last week if you missed it. Now, when you call in today, here's what you're going to get. You're going to get all the email scripts we briefly went through. You're going to get answers to the frequently asked questions. That's going to include the 7-day plan of attack. And also you'll have your opportunity that you can double your leads for 2 or 4 months. Remember, more leads, right? So you can that will help you so you can meet your monthly goal. Because we don't have a choice.